Zaytoven. Zaytoven has been part of trap music since the start. He was there before it blew up, helping build the sound from the ground up. When Gucci Mane dropped Icy back in 2005, it wasn't just his debut, it was Zay's too. That song opened the door for both of them. From there, Zaytoven became a go-to producer for Atlanta rappers. His sound was different. Church-influenced piano melodies over heavy 808s. He gave trap its bounce without losing the grit. Whether it was Bricks, Make the Trap Say I, or later hits like Migos Versace, Zay kept shaping the sound while staying true to his style. When Future was at his peak in 2014 and 2015, Zaytoven produced Beast Mode, one of the most loved mixtapes from that run. It was simple, clean, and hit hard. Exactly what Future needed. Zay's never been flashy, but he's consistent. He doesn't try to chase every new trend. He's more about staying in his zone and letting the artist shine. That's probably why so many rappers keep coming back to him. If you're talking about Atlanta trap, you can't leave Zaytoven out. He's been there the whole way through. The Beatminerz. The Beatminerz don't always get the credit they deserve, but their sound helped define 90s underground New York rap. While names like DJ Premier and RZA come up first, you can't talk about East Coast production without mentioning them. The group was led by brothers Mr. Walt and DJ Evil D. They produced Black Moon's Enter the Stage in 1993, and that album became a cornerstone of grimy Brooklyn rap. Tracks like Who Got the Props and How Many MCs had that dark, dusty sound that made people feel like they were right in the middle of a Brooklyn basement show. Then came The Shining by Smith & Wesson, another classic. The Beatminerz used heavy bass lines, raw drums, and eerie samples to give Boot Camp Click their own lane. It was the kind of sound that stayed street but still felt polished. They never chased radio hits. They just made beats that fit the artists and the moment. That's why their sound still holds up today. If you like that raw, sample-heavy New York style from the 90s, the Beatminerz probably had a hand in it. Mike Will Made It. Mike Will Made It is one of the most consistent hitmakers in modern hip-hop. Whether it's street anthems or radio smashes, his sound always finds a way to stick. He got his start in Atlanta working with Gucci Mane, then quickly expanded by producing Future's early hits like Turn on the Lights and Move That Dope. From there, it was hit after hit. No Lie with 2 Chainz, Bands That Make a Dance with Juicy J, and Love Me with Lil Wayne and Drake. All bangers, all over the radio. Then came Rae Sremmurd. Mike Will produced most of their biggest tracks, including No Flex Zone and the massive Black Beatles, which ended up going #1 during the Mannequin Challenge era. But he didn't stop there. He went on to produce for Kendrick Lamar, including Humble and DNA, showing he could also bring that raw, heavy style to lyrical records too. Mike Will's biggest strength is range. Trap beats, radio hits, emotional songs. He's done it all without losing his sound. He's not just riding trends, he's shaping them. Boy Wonder. Boy Wonder has quietly been one of the most important producers in hip-hop for the past 15 years. If you've listened to Drake, you've definitely heard his work. He started producing for Drake way back on Best I Ever Had, and since then, he's played a big role in shaping that signature Toronto sound. Over, Headlines, 0 to 100, Pound Cake, those are all Boy Wonder beats. He knows how to make records that feel big without sounding overproduced. But he's not just tied to Drake. He's produced hits for Lil Wayne, Eminem, and Nicki Minaj. Plus heavier songs like The Blacker the Berry for Kendrick Lamar. That beat alone showed he's not afraid to go hard and political. Boy Wonder is also one of the few hip-hop producers who move smoothly into R&B. He's produced for Rihanna, Party Next Door, and worked behind the scenes on plenty of crossover records. He keeps evolving too. Whether it's sampling reggae or building clean, spacey beats for new artists, Boy Wonder always sounds current without chasing trends. He's one of those producers who might not always be in front of the camera, but he's always on the charts. Drumma Boy. Drumma Boy has been behind some of the hardest southern rap anthems of the last 15 years. Whether it's Gucci, Jeezy, or Waka, he's helped define that bold, booming trap sound that dominated the late 2000s and early 2010s. His beats are loud, confident, and made to rattle car speakers. Put On with Jeezy and Kanye might be the most iconic. It's a street anthem that hits just as hard today. Same goes for No Hands, which turned into a massive club record with Waka Flocka. Drumma Boy isn't just about making noise though. He knows how to build tension, pace a song, and give rappers room to breathe. He blends hard 808s with cinematic flair, which makes his production stand out even in a crowded trap lane. He's also worked across the board, from Master P to Migos to T.I., always bringing something heavy but polished. Some producers chase the moment, but Drumma's been consistent for over a decade. You might not hear his tag as often anymore, but the influence is still there. If the beat feels like it's marching through your speakers, chances are Drumma Boy made it. Juicy J and DJ. Juicy J and DJ Paul are the producers behind 3 6 Mafia. They didn't just rap, they made the beats too. Their production was loud, dark, and simple, built around hard drums and creepy melodies. It became the foundation for what a lot of Southern rap sounds like now. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, they were making tracks like Tear the Club Up 97 and Sippin' on Some Syrup. These weren't just party songs, they had a style that stuck. Over time, more artists started borrowing that sound, especially newer trap producers. They also produced Stay Fly and Innaru Player's Anthem, which are still 2 of the most recognizable Southern rap tracks ever. Their work shaped what Memphis rap became, and that influence spread everywhere else. You'll hear their fingerprints in today's beats, even from people who don't realize it. They worked a lot with Project Pat and helped build a local sound that eventually went global. Most people know Juicy J for his solo stuff now, but the early production work he did with DJ Paul is a big reason why so much rap today sounds the way it does. Pimp C. Pimp C was more than just the voice of UGK. He was also the main producer behind their sound. A lot of fans remember his verses and personality, but they forget he made most of the beats too. From UGK's early days on Too Hard to Swallow, Pimp was already handling the production. His style blended smooth Southern soul with hard drums. He used live instruments a lot, and you can hear that especially on songs like Diamonds in Wood or Ridin' Dirty. The beats weren't flashy, they just felt real and steady, like the kind of music you'd ride to. He kept that same approach through UGK's catalog. Even on Ridin' Dirty, which is probably their best album, Pimp C was still running the production. It didn't sound like what was coming out of New York or LA at the time, and that was the point. He wanted Southern rap to have its own identity. Even toward the end, like on UGK for Life, Pimp was still doing both the rapping and production. His work gave UGK its sound, and that sound helped define Southern hip-hop. Trackmasters. Trackmasters don't get mentioned enough when people talk about 90s hip-hop producers, but if you dig into the credits, they're everywhere. This duo, Poke and Tone, had a knack for making beats that still felt like classic boom bap, but were polished enough to get radio play. They started off working with guys like Cool G Rap and Chubb Rock, and you can already hear their signature style: tight drums, clean samples, and that slight R&B edge. As the 90s moved on, they leveled up with bigger names. They helped shape LL Cool J's sound in the mid-90s and laced him with hits like Hey Lover and I Shotcha. Then there's their work with Nas. They produced If I Ruled the World, which became one of his biggest singles. And with Jay-Z, they helped bring a smoother sound to tracks like Face Off. A lot of their stuff balanced street and shiny in a way not many could pull off. People call them commercials sometimes, but that's just because they knew how to make a hit without losing the original vibe. Whether it was Nas, LL, or Biggie, they knew how to keep it hip-hop and still make it sound good on the radio. Erick Surman. Erick Surman doesn't get nearly enough credit. Most people know him as one half of EPMD, but he's also one of the most consistent and underrated producers in hip-hop. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, he and Parrish Smith dropped 4 solid albums in a row, starting with Strictly Business. That run alone puts him in the conversation. What made Erick different was his ear. While everyone else was flipping James Brown samples, he dug into funk, pulling from Zapp, Kool and the Gang, and others to give EPMD a smoother, funk-heavy sound. It stood out in the best way. Then you've got the whole Hit Squad era. Redman, Keith Murray, Das EFX, all of them were running wild on Erick Surman beats. His production style was raw, but still had bounce, and it gave those artists their own distinct sound. Outside of his crew, Erick's worked with just about everyone. Jay-Z, LL Cool J, Scarface, Ludacris, even Eminem and 50 Cent. He produced a good chunk of Blackout for Method Man and Redman too. He's not the loudest in the room, but if you check the discography, Erick Surman's fingerprints are all over hip-hop history. The Alchemist. The Alchemist has quietly built one of the most solid producer careers in hip-hop. He started back in the mid-90s, working with Mobb Deep and getting that gritty New York sound down. But what's crazy is how long he stayed consistent. He's still dropping full projects today that feel fresh. Right now, he's in one of the best runs of his career. In just the past few years, he's done full albums with Freddie Gibbs, Currency, Boldy James, and Conway the Machine, and they've all been quality. Al's production style has always leaned dusty and sample-heavy, but he somehow keeps it interesting. It's stripped down, but still detailed, and it gives rappers space to really lock in. He's not chasing trends, just making the kind of hip-hop that lasts. From Keep It Thorough to 1985 to Red Dot Music, his catalog is deep. And he's probably ghost-produced more of your favorite beats than you realize. At this point, he's not just respected, he's trusted. Rappers go to Al when they want something timeless, and he always delivers. He's proven that consistency and taste can go a long way in this game. Havoc. Havoc doesn't always get mentioned with the top East Coast producers. But if you're talking about raw, gritty New York rap, he's essential. As one half of Mobb Deep, he produced some of the hardest beats of the 90s. Tracks like Shook Ones Part 2 and Survival of the Fittest still hit the same today. That dark, eerie sound, that's all Havoc. He wasn't just the guy behind the boards. He was rapping too. But his production is what really shaped Mobb Deep's identity. Albums like The Infamous and Hell on Earth wouldn't be the same without his sound. Outside of Mobb Deep, Havoc's work spread far. He's produced for Nas, G-Unit, Jadakiss, even Eminem and Kanye. And he's one of the few producers from that era who's kept his sound intact while still adapting when needed. If you want to understand what New York hip-hop felt like in the 90s, just listen to Havoc's beats. No frills, no gloss, just raw emotion and street perspective. He didn't just add to the sound of the East Coast, he helped define it. Wait, wow, you're still watching. If you made it this far, you probably love this stuff as much as we do. Subscribe for more low-key hip-hop deep dives like this. Let's keep this going.